time for Health Coach with Dr. John Catanzaro from the Health and Wellness Institute in Mount Lake Terrace.
And it is time once again for Health Coach with Dr. John Catanzaro of the Health and Wellness Institute. And your offices are located where again?
We're in Mount Lake Terrace. It's just a few minutes outside of Seattle.
Okay. And great services there, a number of different doctors addressing different issues. We're continuing this week talking with Dr. John about cardiovascular health. Last week we talked about got to cut down, or probably you'd be happy if we just cut out fast food in general.
Absolutely. I think it's good just to, as reiterating from last week, cutting out the fast foods, cutting out the greasy stuff, cutting out the easy, convenient, approachable, places like McDonald's, places like, Wendy's. I mean, just think about, the areas that you're going to be. I'd rather a person go into a Whole Foods market and choose, really healthy foods, than to be going and conveniently getting a hamburger.
Okay, so we've talked about some things not to do. So things to do then is to think a little bit more about what you're eating. You're talking about the mental aspect of this.
As a mental attitude change, what we want to do is we want to go outside of the normal things that we tend to run to, which may be convenient. Maybe some of us don't have this as a main problem in our lives, but it's a matter of choice. So we choose to actually choose foods that are live type foods that are healthy for us, foods that we know that are going to be nurturing and supportive to our bodies, and then move us into wellness over a long period of time, more longevity and wellness. So foods do make a difference.
Foods make a huge difference in cardiovascular health. When you say, are we necessarily talking about organic? Does it have to be organic, or just it needs to be green? What do you mean by it needs to be green foods?
Well, live green foods, if you think about it, live foods first, what that simply means is any food that's going to feed the cellular processes of our bodies. Our cells are living cells, and our cells need living food. So if you think about things like Twinkies or Ritz crackers or any of the processed foods in the center of the store, those type of foods are inert. They're dead foods. They don't provide nurture. They don't provide movement for live process. And the foods that do are usually the foods that have to be refrigerated. They have to be watered. They're usually colorful foods. They're of a variety. They might be bitter. They might be root foods like radishes and potatoes and some of these other things. They may be certain type of meats, and et cetera, et cetera. So if you're looking at live foods, you're looking at foods that are usually on the perimeter of the store.
Okay. So live foods, very important for cardiovascular health. What are some other mental things that we need to, because diet is about choices and your willpower. And we do want to go to the processed foods and the convenient foods, but we really got to have an attitude shift.
I think mainly more of us than I think tend to respond to emotional type based eating. So if you really think about it, sometimes when we are tired, when we are just, we don't have the energy we need, what do we run to the most? I mean, from a cardiovascular standpoint, a lot of the times if we're not conditioned, if we don't exercise and we're not eating the right type of foods, we usually run to the foods that are going to give us the most immediate amount of energy, and oftentimes we continue to run to them because it's kind of almost like our bodies are addicted to those type of foods. And then you can't break the cycle. You can't break the cycle of dependence upon the foods that we tend to move toward when our bodies are fatigued or if we're emotionally fatigued. So emotional-based eating is probably a big contributing factor in the type of foods that we select. And I think that if we get to a place where I know in my own personal experience, I know if I'm getting tired and say, for instance, I've had a demanding few days and I'm just realizing, okay, what am I starting to run to? What foods am I running to? Am I running for the coffee? That's an immediate red flag right there. Because if I'm running to the coffee, I know that my body is basically screaming for something else.
Something other than coffee.
Something other than coffee.
Okay. As you look over at my coffee cup.
So what is my body screaming for really? If it's just reaching out for the coffee, it's got to be really needing something else, because I'm probably depleted of nutrients that I'm running to the same foods over and over again because they give me either comfort or they give me quick energy. And this is a definite setup for